The Art of Andres Valencia. Andres Valencia was born in San Diego in 2011. He started making art when he was 5 years old. He loves to paint. Here is a movie of him creating a portrait in his studio. A portrait is an art piece that features a person's face. He is drawing with an oil stick. It is similar to an oil pastel. Do you notice how he doesn't sketch it out? He just goes for it. His work has been influenced by the Cubist movement. Cubism is a style of painting that was developed in the early 1900s. Cubist paintings show objects from many angles at once. In early Cubist paintings, the artist broke down objects into basic shapes. They used circles, squares, triangles, rectangles, cubes, spheres, cylinders, and cones. What shapes do you see in this painting? Cubism was first developed by Pablo Picasso. He was an artist from Spain. Art critics said that Picasso's paintings looked like they were made up of cubes. This led to the label of Cubism. Andres Valencia was so inspired by Picasso's work that he started painting in the Cubist style. Can you see the influence of Picasso in his work? The one on the left is Pablo Picasso's, and the one on the right is Andres's. How are these two paintings the same? How are they different? So who inspired Picasso? Picasso visited Morocco in Africa. He loved the African masks. They inspired him to start painting in the Cubist style. What shapes do you see in these masks? Can you see how these inspired Cubism? Andres was always interested in art. During the COVID pandemic, he started to spend hours on end drawing and painting. His parents loved his work and helped him set up a studio. He now shows his work in galleries around the world. Here he is with his family at an opening of No Rules, his solo exhibition at New York's Chase Contemporary Gallery. Once Andres has finished an art piece, he will paint it using acrylic paints and oil sticks. Sometimes he becomes inspired at night and will get out of bed and paint. It takes him about 4 days to draw and then fill in his painting. He dreams of the entire world knowing his work. Do you think his dream will come true? Here are some art pieces created by kids that were inspired by Andres. Has he inspired you to paint too? If you finish early, here are some exploration ideas. You could write a story about the person you're inspired to paint. You could learn more about Andres on his Instagram page. He has lots of photos and videos of his work. There are a few other artists who have also inspired his work. Can you research Andres Valencia and find out who? Let's go to the drawing board. For today's art lesson, you're going to need a cup of water to clean out your brush. You're going to need a paper towel, your oil pastels, some tempera paints. You can have several colors or just a couple. a sheet of watercolor paper, a sheet of regular drawing paper, a pencil, and a paintbrush. We're going to take and move everything over. And all we actually really need to start with, I'm even going to move away my watercolor paper. All we need is this sheet of drawing paper. Okay, and this is going to be our practice paper. Now, as we go to create an art piece inspired by Andres Valencia, before we start to draw today, I thought it would be important to go ahead and maybe look at some of the different ways that Andres Valencia draws eyes and noses and mouths. So first we're going to practice some different kinds of eyes. So if we look at this eye, you're going to notice that it's kind of shaped like a lemon or a football, and then it has a big rainbow up over the top. So let's practice that one on our practice sheet. So we're going to go ahead and draw a small rainbow and a smile. And inside of that, we're going to take and put a circle. And then we can put a big rainbow over the top. And that is one way that he makes eyes. Let's look at a couple of different ways. Now, if you look at this eye, it's like a profile view. You're going to notice that it's kind of shaped like an ice cream cone laying on its side. So with that eye, we're going to start with a sideways V. And then we're going to put in a curve and another curve. And so this is an eye that's looking over to the side. So that's another way that you could make an eye. And let's see if there's another way that he has an eye happening here. Oh, let's look at this eye right here. Do you notice how it's similar to this eye, but it's on its side? So let's see if we can make one of those football-shaped eyes on its side. So we can take and do a curve and do another curve. And then we're going to go ahead and put an eyeball inside. And you can always add on eyelashes. So let's try some eyelashes on that one. You can add eyelashes to any of them. You could add eyebrows too. On this one, I think I might add an eyebrow. I put a line. And then on the other side, I put a dot. And then I can take and curve over to it. So there are 3 different styles of eyes. Now let's go ahead and practice maybe some of the different styles of noses that he makes. So as we look at this once again, this is a profile view. You'll see that it is a curve with a little circle. So let's try that profile view. We're going to come and we're going to make an angled line down, and then put on a curve and a line going over. And then up above, we're going to put in a circle for a nostril. And that's a nose. Now, sometimes he'll do those kinds of noses with a big rounded shape with the nostril. Do you see that? Let's try that kind of nose. So we're going to do another sideways one, but it's a big rounded shape. It's kind of like, it's almost like a letter J. And then we're going to put in the circle. So that's another kind of nose we could do. And let's try one more style. If you look at this one, it's a U shape with a circle on the side. It's that one and this one too. See how it's a U and a circle on the side. Here's another one that is a U. This one has a circle and a triangle shape on the side. So let's try that one. We're going to do a U shape. And we could then take and put a circle on the side. We could even double it if we wanted to. And sometimes he'll take and he'll put an angle on it as well. So those are 3 different styles of noses. You might have a way that you like to draw a nose too. If you want to practice a way that you draw a nose or a way that you draw an eye, you could. Now we're going to go ahead and look at some mouth shapes. So if you look at this mouth shape, it's almost like it's two oval shapes that are together. So let's try that. So it is one kind of squished oval shape, and then another one on top. And this one you'll see has kind of a lip mountain shape on top. So let's try that one. So he started with this shape, and then he made some lip shapes. And he does different variations of those. You'll see that sometimes the mountains are different, but sometimes the mountains are a little more similar. And that mouth, I don't even know what that mouth is. That mouth is crazy. Let's try one more of these. So we can take and put in our bottom lip. And this time let's make our mountains more even. So these are some different ways that you can draw mouths as well. Now that we've practiced our different eyes, nose, and mouths, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to create our face. Now, as you go to do this, you are just going to go for it, just like Andres Valencia did. You're going to take your black oil pastel and you are going to just start to draw. And you're going to make your own unique drawing. So you're not going to copy me. You're just going to do your own thing. If you're kind of stuck and you don't know where to begin, I recommend starting with an eye somewhere. So if you don't know what to do, start with an eye. And then once you have your eye drawn, you can just start adding different body parts and shapes to it. All right, go ahead and have fun. Now, once you get your portrait completely drawn, then you're ready to paint. Now, as you go to paint, there are a few things you need to pay attention to. So, you can mix your colors if you want, but it's also kind of nice just to keep your colors nice and bright as well, but it's completely up to you. So the first thing you do is you wet your brush, and then you dry it off on your paper towel. And you'll notice when I dry it off on my paper towel, there's no color coming off. I've done a good job cleaning, okay? And then I can go into any color that I want, and I'm going to go ahead and just start painting in and filling in my image. And if I want to mix colors, I can. If I know I want to keep using a color for a while, I can take and go and do different things with it. And fill in different spaces. Now, when I want to change colors, it's important when I go to change colors that I clean my brush really well if I want to keep my colors nice and pure. So I go into my brush or into my water and I clean really, really well. And I can look to see that my brush is clean. I wipe it off on the edge. I dry it on my paper towel. And I want to dry it because if I get a lot of water into my paints, then it will water my paints down. So I don't want my paints watered down, so I want to make sure that my brush is dry. And then I can go into my next color. And I'm putting on my paint pretty thick because I want my colors to be nice and bright. Go ahead and finish painting your entire piece. And after you paint your face, you could paint your background. Have fun! And there I have my finished painting. Now if I want, once it completely dries, If I want to take some oil pastels back in on top of my painting, I can. So if at the very end, let's say you really wanted to try taking some other colors in, once it completely dries, and I'm completely dry here, so I'll show you what I mean, you can take and maybe do a little bit of a color blend. See how I added some pink in there? I could go ahead and start playing with adding in some colors as well. And I could play with different ones. So maybe I wanted something brighter than I had it or darker. So know that if you want at the end, you can play with adding in some oil pastels. Or you can just leave it because they look great. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you had fun. Bye-bye.